To find the one. If I could just find the one, then everything's gonna be okay. No! Go talk to the married people. You know they say, honey, if you ain't happy single, you ain't gonna be happy married. Can you hear an amen?
Amen.
Some of those saying amen are the married people you gotta talk to. And then we go through our life and we're like, oh, life's gonna get better. And look, it's not that it doesn't get better, but what I wanna ask you is, who are you and what do you want? Because what God has for you is exceedingly abundantly more than you can ever ask, imagine, or attain. We go to school and we're trying to figure out, well, who are we first? You know, what do you want to do when you grow up? What are you gonna be? What's up? What's up with that? Are you guys okay? You need a hand? You want to know who the person was that God used to actually look at me for the first time and say, you're gonna be a speaker? Not my mom, not my dad. The janitor at my high school. I was 17, he was 61, he was a Christian man, he's still alive. I just got to see him last year. It was unbelievable because one day when I was 17 years old, he stops cleaning the toilets and he looks up at me and I look at him. He says, hey, I said, hi. He said, Nick, you're in the student government, huh? And I said, uh-huh. He said, I want to tell you something, and he crosses his arms like this. He said, you're gonna be a speaker. I said, come again? He said, you're gonna be a speaker. I said, no. I said, what am I gonna speak about? He says, you're gonna share your story. I said, I don't have a story. He says, yes you do. And I said, no thank you. And I walked away. The next day, he says, Nick. I'm like, yes. He said, listen. I understand that you're a little scared. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you know that the biggest fear in the world is public speaking and the second biggest fear is actually death itself? So some people would rather die before they become a public speaker. He says, let me arrange the first speech. I'm like, you're crazy. He said, yes, at the school we have the Jesus Club and you know, you should blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. Leave me alone. The next day he says, speak. I said, no. Next day I look at him, he looks at me, and I walk away. He starts running after me. After 3 months, he twisted my arm and I said, okay. And I got in front of everyone and I was freaking out. My palms were sweating, my knees were shaking. I didn't know what I was going to say. Then all of a sudden I hear a girl go, and I'm like, what's wrong? Nothing. I said, why are you crying? She says, I don't know. I was just touched. I'm like, who touched you? Here I am at age 17 talking about hope and someone is moved to tears. Do you see my table up here? This is, for instance, as an illustration, the timeline. When I'm 8 years old, I had no idea what exceedingly abundantly beautiful and imaginable things were ahead. You know, my doctors told my parents that I would never go to school. Why? Because when I was able to go to school on my age bracket, my country where I lived in, Australia, okay, the law back then was that in 1989, if you had a child with a disability, they would not be allowed to go to a mainstream school. And so my doctor said I would never go to school, but they didn't know that God would use my mum to then go to Victoria education system and say, why don't you let my son go to school? And they said, okay. And we were the first family to then make a trailblaze difference in that country since 1989. The doctors didn't know that, but God knew that. The doctors and my parents and not even me. I never thought that then I would be able to travel around the world and meet many, many people. If you have those two photos, then you should have the third photo. I don't know if you've got then the third photo, the big crowd shot. But little did I know. Everyone say, little did Nick know. Little did little Nick know that I would actually go around the world to meet 18 presidents and be in front of crowds of 800,000 people face to face in Ukraine in 2017. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, definitely stop that. There it is. Now, in one day, this is 800,000 people in Ukraine, 17th of September 2017. 52.7 million people were watching on mainstream TV in 20 languages without commercial interruption, given for free in 2017. 52.7 million people heard the gospel. Of the 800,000 there, 400,000 gave their life to Jesus Christ right there, right then. And God has opened up the door for me to speak in front of 10 governments. I pray that one day I speak at the government of Philippines. This is didn't work out this time, trust me, we tried. But this is the last shot. This is a government, this is the House Representatives, the Senators of Ukraine. Do you notice that they are actually not sitting on their seats? They're kneeling. On live TV, they ask God for the forgiveness of sins and to come and heal their land and to lead their government into the glorious plan of God. That was on live TV. A limbless man, thank you, that's all the photos. A limbless man who could be the hands and feet of God and stand in front of the gates of hell and redirect traffic? Are you serious? We sometimes think, well, I need this and I need that. No, when you give your heart to God, it's when you say, God, despite what I know, despite what I see, despite what I feel, if I only trust these things, I'm trusting what I see, feel, and know. That's not how we live. We walk by faith and not by sight. And when you look at the word disabled, D-I-S-A-B-L-E-D, then you put a G-O in front of that. Go and sin no more. Go, follow Jesus. Go and tell the world that Jesus lives. Go and make disciples of all nations. Go, move, go. G-O-D-I-S-A-B-L-E-D spells God is able to do the exceedingly abundant, beautiful thing. I tell you, man, I wanted arms and legs so bad. I would cry myself to sleep. God, if you give me arms and legs, here's the second verse, Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. Verse 12, then you will call upon me, come and pray to me, and I will listen. 13, you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. 14, I will be found by you, declares the Lord. Romans 8:28, ready? All things work together for the good for those who love him, who've been called according to his purpose.
Amen.
I actually hated God for many years. I wanted to intellectually know, is it logical to believe in a God that's, number one, invisible, who apparently loves me, who can control and do anything, yet he allowed me to be born without arms and legs, and he chooses not to give me arms and legs miraculously, even though he is a miraculous God. To the point of saying in my own mind, Where did this pain come from? We read in the Bible that it actually didn't come from God. It came from Satan in the Garden of Eden. Then my logical mind goes to the fact that, well, if God knew that all the pain in the world that we experience came from Satan, why did he allow the serpent in the Garden of Eden in the first place? Fair? Fair question? Here's the answers, ready? If God didn't allow the serpent in the Garden of Eden, I could intellectually convince you